We are 44 minutes away from the 2023 League Cup final, Rangers versus Celtic, the Old Firm. So hello and welcome along to pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabo. I am joined by Robert, Craig and Stu. Robert, how are you?
Aye, brand new. Looking forward to it. Obviously, it's edging closer. Finally, the talk will be over and we can watch the action unfold.
Yeah, I think I spoke to you, Stu. Well, I did speak to you during the week at some point, but we have that many conversations. I can't remember which one it was. But I was saying I don't get as up for these games as what I used to in terms of my. I was going to say paranoia, but that's no other club. In terms of my happiness, my over eagerness. But 43 minutes to go, it's starting to kick in.
I'm exactly the same, Every time we get the build up for this week, I'm always like, maybe I just don't care as much as I used to. I'm not getting those nerves. And then the day hits and I'm not going to enjoy it one bit. I just want to skip to full time and whatever's happened because it's absolutely horrible with nerves building now.
We are going to get to this in a wee second, Curry. Believe you me. I'm smiling more through nerves than anything else. But Craig, shall we just talk about the starting 11? Will we go straight into it? Because Craig, it's not the starting 11 I was expecting. Don't know about you.
No. One positive, not then obviously with Tillman starting, but then the Raskin. We were all talking there in the night, and every one of us were guaranteed that Raskin would start. And yeah, I just basically it will come out in the wash. Whatever happens at full time, the manager will be either vindicated by his decision or he'll be picked apart on it.
Yeah, Robert, no Raskin is the big one for me. For me, excuse me. I've been singing his praises for days, talking about how he's going to be the difference in this cup final for me. What's the manager's thinking then with leaving him on the bench?
Well, it looks like he's gone for sort of tried and trusted. I think Lundstram coming back in, maybe off the back of the semi-final in the Scottish Cup at Hampden against these last year. He's going to need to put in some sort of shift like that again the day if we're going to have any sort of success in the middle of the park, because I just think Celtic are pretty decent in the middle of the park. And you look last weekend at Livingston, Raskin for me was our best player. So I think if he'd asked everything in the lead up to this game, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Raskin's the first name in the team sheet. So I can't understand it, but I'm not the man in the dugout. So we'll have to just see how it unfolds for kickoff. It's going to be a big task for the three of them. We'll need to just see how they get on. I'm concerned about Tillman's hamstring. I was saying to you just before we came on that I'll be in tenterhooks for the whole game, watching how he moves and how he's chasing balls down. So we've got Cantwell in reserve. The bench looks good. I think that's a positive. The bench looks strong. So that's just one of them. You'll know if it's a good decision or not until the final whistle's blown, will we?
Well, Stu, is we're asking not starting Cantwell on the bench with being Kamara and Lundstram, who haven't probably had the best seasons of their career. Is Big Ange licking his lips? And I'm not talking about the buffet.
I think they will be a little. Whether that plays out like that, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a bit strange for me. I think if Lundstram had been fit and playing even from the bench for the past few weeks, I could maybe understand that his thinking is to go with more experience. But for Lundstram to just sort of come back from the little niggle he's had and go straight into the team in favour of Raskin, who it's early days, but I think you can tell that the player he's going to be and the player he already is. I just fear, we know Lundstram and Kamara. We know that they both can have great games. So Kamara's shone in this game plenty of times before. He's not at his best now, but we know that the talent's there. Lundstram as well. I mean, he's like a roller coaster at Rangers. He's been up and down. But my fear is that those two, if they start poorly today, they'll run right over the top of them all game, and we'll be chasing shadows and we'll be making changes and maybe chasing a game that's already gone. That said, I trust Beale. I trust what he wants to do, and if he thinks he's picked the best team to win this game, then I'm going to trust him with it. I just fear if it goes wrong, then everyone is going to pick apart this decision to start those two there.
Yeah, well, Craig, as CGM channel member, is pointing out in the comments, and look, obviously, I think after his first game, Raskin, the manager said he was suffering for a little bit of fatigue. He then came in and played a lot of minutes against Livingston. So maybe there is, a method in the manager's madness. But CGM's saying that by not selecting Raskin, and less so Cantwell, Beale has opened himself heavily up to being criticised if this goes wrong.
Is that not the Rangers manager every time we play a game? That no matter who he picks, if it goes wrong, the manager then gets criticised, especially against this mob. I think that's whoever he picked, whoever he put Raskin in and left Sakala on the bench, Tillman didn't play. He's leaving himself open to be criticised no matter what, or praised if it all goes really well. Hopefully, we sat here at full time and we're saying what a wonderful decision it was because Kamara and Lundstram have bossed the midfield. But for me, no matter what he does, he's going to get criticised if it all goes wrong.
The big thing for me, Robert, with that midfield is energy. I don't know if that's maybe a wee bit unfair on both Lundstram and Kamara, but they're certainly not giving you anywhere near the same energy that Raskin does.
No, you're right. I wonder where you're going that. When you said energy, I thought, was he saying it's full energy? It's certainly not full energy, no. Maybe sort of thinking deeper in the game, maybe he's thinking like it's going to go the distance this, so try and contain it early for as long as you can and then bring the firepower off the bench later on in the game, because obviously we took them extra time in the semi last year, and the last time we actually won the League Cup went to extra time as well, so it could go the distance. That might be in his thinking, but as you say, it looks like it's more in his sort of protect than to go forward, which is not really what you want to see. But again, as I say, we're sitting here surmising until it actually starts unfolding in front of you. Then we can pass comment. But Lundstram's a strange one for me because he's been nowhere near it for weeks. You're wondering just how long he's going to actually last in the game. And as Stu was saying before with Kamara, he's been up and down. Maybe some more looking like his old self under Michael Beale, but still no, firing all cylinders, I would say. So it's definitely the talking point in the midfield, and it's where these games can be won and lost. I think you've got to be sort of at it in both boxes without being sort of cliched, and win the battle in the middle of the park. So that maybe puts us on the back foot a wee bit with the players that he's picked. But again, as I say, we'll just wait for a kick-off and see what happens.
All right, so to play devil's advocate to the way, Stu, that most people are feeling, including ourselves, because I did say that, I was extremely confident going into the day. I really, really was. And now looking at that midfield, and I hope I'm completely wrong, and we steamroll them, and we humiliate them, and we annihilate them. Of course I do. But playing devil's advocate to everybody's feelings then, is Michael Beale maybe looking at this as not so much to contain them, but to match them, to still be in the game, and then second half you bring on Raskin, you bring on Cantwell, and you just take over?
It could very well be, I think.
And is that the right way to go about it, Stu?
It's hard because you don't want to play to their game, but to a degree, we know they start fast. We know that they're going to come out the traps. They're going to be 100 miles an hour. That's just what they do. So maybe he wants to survive the first 10, 15 minutes, and then we take control. I don't know if that's his thinking. Maybe that's his thinking. I feel it looks to me like with the two, we're going to go for the way we're not going to change things. We're going to have the fullbacks bomb on, and Kamara and Lundstram will be the cover, and we'll get the crosses in, and we'll try and hit teams like we do everywhere else. My fear is, I thought that the big sort of curveball today was going to be Tillman would be dropped and Raskin would play with Lundstram and Kamara, and I thought we would have, I know there are three more sitters, but I thought we would match them up in midfield, especially because their fullbacks are inside wing backs, so they come into the midfield and they clog that whole area up. So at times it's going to be 4 or 5 on 2 or 3. So Tillman's got a big job today if he's going to be dropping into that midfield. I don't know. It's going to be so interesting to see how the two start and how they line up against each other. Whether we go for that midfield battle, or it might just be that he wants control from the start and we go full attacking. We bomb the fullbacks on and we just try and go right for the throat straight away. That's what I hope we're going to do. But part of me does think that he is trying to contain them a little bit early on. And I fear that in recent Old Firm derbies, that's not been the right method because we've conceded very early in pretty much all of them. So Hopefully that's not it, but yeah, we'll see. It's just that time is ticking away, and I just need it to start now because I'm like shaking at this point.
It's a method in the madness, though, slightly, Craig, because if you look back to Michael Beale's first Old Firm game as manager, we were, by my accounts, for the majority of the game, the better team. And it was our defending that let us down. And if we look at our defence today, you know, McGregor, Tav, Goldson, Davies, Barisic, that's a very, very settled back five, and they're in good form.
Is it not the same team that played that game, the same 11?
Yeah, so but obviously Davies was just coming back for injury, as was Goldson. Now they've had a run of games.
Maybe he is thinking that how well they played the last game and the game plan for the majority of the game worked, obviously, bar the two goals we conceded. Maybe he's thinking that's his method to his madness. But who knows? As I say, the manager will be sat there now. He'll be doing what, probably sat there stressing like we're stressing and wanting the game to be up and running. I'm going to sit downstairs and probably pace the garden and pace the kitchen all 90 minutes and try and find other stuff to do just to take my mind off it, especially the last sort of 15 minutes. But yeah, I'm not as unconfident, if that's a word, as I was when I first saw the team. I'm now sort of like, right, let's go for it, and whoever the team is the team.
Well, I like your optimism, Robert. In terms of Davies and Goldson, like I say, they have struck up a very, very good partnership. But is it fair that this will be their first real proper test?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, aye. Working up against a team that's in really good form. However, we seem to sort of play better against teams that actually come out. You know, you look at the game at Tynecastle, you look at the game at Ibrox against Celtic as well. So, no, definitely, I've got no worries about Davies and Goldson. I think what the midfield three selection has done actually for the back line is took the heat off Borna Barisic a bit, because I think he comes under fire every time this fixture comes around. Whether it's Lillabada, his name that's getting thrown about, I think it's Jota that he's going to be up against today. He seems to come under sort of real scrutiny, so I'm happy for him in a sense that he can get into this. Maybe the talk not being about him is obviously going to be about the midfield. So, no, that the defensive sort of line has been great for the last few games. I've not really had any qualms with it. Barisic looks a bit more confident as well. I thought he was decent at Livingston. And obviously Tavernier's got his 2 goals. I wouldn't put him past scoring again today. So, no, it's Goldson and Davies look phenomenal. And I think the only problem today will be it's balls going in behind for the likes of Kyogo and obviously Maeda. So we'll just have to see again how it unfolds. But I think those two will be key today. As I said, in both boxes, you've got to be dominant, and those two will need to be dominant in their own box.
Well, that's actually a fair point, Stu. Celtic do have real pace. And I never actually... That's obviously why Michael Beale's a Rangers manager and I just sit here and talk nonsense, but that never really came into my head. So that midfield selection then, is that with an eye to aid Tav and Borna? Because let's be honest, the first 2 people who come under the heaviest criticism at Rangers are Tav and Borna.
Yeah, I think it's sort of what I touched on a little bit earlier when I mentioned that I think he's starting these 2 to cover the fullbacks because they are going to bomb on. We're going to play our game. But we've also got to remember that they've got a lot of pace, but they're so direct when they get the ball. Their counters almost miss out the midfield at times. They're front to back in a matter of, or back to front even in a matter of seconds. And if they play like that against us and we don't have the cover at fullback, then they'll tear us apart down there. And as simple as that. They're very clinical. You have to give that to them. They take pretty much every chance for I know you don't like the term, Martin, but for their XG, they're pretty much bang on it, maybe slightly outperforming it, whereas we are significantly under ours. So it's going to be a tale of finishing, I think, as well. You know, we've got to be clinical today. We can't have these, you know, getting into the box, getting great chances and striking them straight at the keeper. It's not going to work today. We have to take our chances. And I don't know. It's so hard because he's picked this team out and I felt like I knew what the team was going to be and he's thrown this spanner in there and now I'm trying to I've got like a million scenarios going through my head of how we might play, how we're going to start, how they're going to play. But yeah, I'm the only slight worry I think I have is you mentioned Barisic at times in this game has not had his best sort of games against them and he's been found wanting a little bit. I feel like Lundstram all season has just been given the ball away, like just 5-yard passes, he can't make them. And Tav, to a degree, has also been doing that. And I feel like with the way they're going to press against us, I've just talked about how clinical we need to be today, but we need to be completely sure in our passes. We need to hit these passes absolutely spot on, because they're going to be all over us like a rash if we're not up for it. And I think we already saw in the last Old Firm game, Morelos obviously made the mistake, but to have sort of a half-hearted challenge, or everyone's got to be up for this today. Everyone's got to be 100%, as you always got to be for every game, but especially for an Old Firm. I just want to see. I just want to see blood, really. I want to see these players snapping into challenges and just giving everything. And you know, I don't want to consider a defeat, but I don't want to feel like anything was picked wrong or anything like that. As long as they go out there and they put that all on the pitch. These are two pretty evenly matched teams. It can go either way, and I'm hoping it's going to go our way. But as long as we're not sitting here afterwards talking about individual players that didn't step up to the mark again, I won't be happy, but I'll be more understanding of where we are and where we're going to go in the future.
See, just talking about being happy or unhappy, I'm never happy during these games. I genuinely can't remember the last Old Firm I actually enjoyed watching. Until you know you're going to win, I hate these games. I despise them. That's why I lobby so much for having 2 games a season. I don't want the 4. It's honestly, it shortens my life.
Stop being selfish, Martin. Stop being bloody
selfish. It shortens my life. It absolutely shortens my life. Channel legend, channel member John Batchelor with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much, John. Greatly appreciated. And just while we've got more people watching than we usually do on these build-ups, for good reason, obviously. If you enjoy the content, please do subscribe. Please do give the video a like. And if you want some extra content, then consider joining the Rabble Patreon. The more people who join, the more shows we put out and the better content you get. And the link for that is in the description. Robert, Fashion Sakala starts. For me, absolute no-brainer.
Oh, I listen, he was great in the last game, wasn't he? Obviously wins as the penalty, looked lively. He's been brilliant since the manager's come back in. He's finally got a run of games as well, so the manager clearly trusts him. And I think he'll cause some problems today if we can get the ball out to him. It's about, like Stu said, it's about getting your foot on the ball and actually playing forward. None of this, that's again what worries me with Lundstram and Kamara. They're no forward playing players, really. They like to just sort of pass it about between themselves. So just to touch on what something Stuart said about crunching into challenges and blood and thunder, I think that's a bare minimum in this game, an absolute bare minimum. You shouldn't need to sort of demand that. That should just be in your makeup straight away for this one. And about giving the ball away, Morelos for me has been doing that continually for the last few weeks. I mean, Livingston, he gave one away. I think he was on the right hand side. Fizzes one again in the middle of the pitch. Billy Boy just takes it away and away he goes, and he doesn't look bothered by it. There's no the body language just doesn't look great. I'm gutted that Roof's no fit because I'd have started them today and I wouldn't go down well with it. But I just think Morelos hasn't been near it the last few weeks. I really don't. I think he needs to be. He's not been anywhere near it. So yes, Stuart's saying, you got to take your chances when you get him. Morelos hasn't been taking his chances. Not for me. So I'm hoping for a big one for him today. I think Ryan Kent will be important. As always in these games, he seems to flourish against Celtic. So I'm hoping he'll sort of be driving at them and getting at Alistair Johnson, getting at him and giving him a nightmare early on. So I think that's your outlet. You need to get Fashion Sakala and Ryan Kent on the ball as much as possible if we're going to be successful today.
100%, 100%. Aldo McNaught, channel member, 449 super chat. Thank you very much, Aldo. Smash the like button, team. Please do. If you hit that like button, it shares the video throughout YouTube, and then in turn we get more people watching, we get more people subscribing, and we grow the rabble along with it. Just quickly on Fashion, Craig. For me, he doesn't automatically start just simply because of his comments. Although they were hilarious, and them who hung out the flag of war, except for when they get offended by comments. It's his pure pace for me. His absolute pure sheer pace. And look, Robert mentioned it earlier. Celtic are going to press. There's going to be space in behind.
Yeah, I think the last game showed he we said this the other night, and I know it was mentioned on Friday's pod. They are absolutely petrified of him. They do not want him running at them. No defender. If you ask any defender who's played football, they don't like pace. They don't like players running at them with undeniable pace. And fashion is fashion. Half the time he doesn't know what he's going to do, which then means that the defender doesn't know what he's going to do. His teammates don't know what he's going to do, but then he picks up the ball and he'll just hopefully he puts Greg Taylor on his backside a few times and gets the ball past him. And I'd like to see, I mentioned this the other night, I'd like to see as well them change it up a little bit and him and Kent switch at times, because I think Taylor and Johnston will be set to mark their player, and if they switch him across, then it might cause a bit of chaos. And we'll see. But yeah, fashion for me is an absolute no-brainer, not just because of his comments, but because of what he actually brings to the team. And with that run of games that he's had, he's only getting better.
He is, Stu, but as Stuart Keane rightly points out, please, fashion, stay on side.
Yeah, I don't think you can say please. He's 100% going to have at least a minimum of one offside today. That's just how fashion is. Whether he doesn't understand the rule, I don't know. You think someone that fast shouldn't really get caught offside? He doesn't even need to play on the shoulder. He can play a yard back from the shoulder because he's that quick. I don't know. It wasn't a no-brainer for me, to be honest, because he's just that chaos ball he brings. It does have its ups, and we talk a lot about the ups. He doesn't know what he's going to do. Defender doesn't know what he's going to do, but he has a lot of downs with that. Sometimes when he doesn't know what he's going to do, he just walks the ball out of play, or he picks a bad pass. His final ball is lacking. So I think I say it wasn't a no-brainer. I don't actually think we had another option, so maybe it was a no-brainer. The one thing I'll give Sakala in these games as well, obviously his pace will hurt them, but he'll shoot, and we don't have many players who will do that from distance. So Sakala can cut in on his left, he'll go on the outside, he'll always shoot, and sometimes that's to the detriment of the team because a better pass is on, but at least he does shoot. And when you look at a team, if you've got Lundstram and Kamara on the edge, I know Lundstram can do it from time to time, but it's very rare either of those shoot and score you goals and pick up goals. And when you look across the other side of the field, all of their midfielders are goal-scoring midfielders. So we need as many goal scorers, goal contributors as we can on the pitch. I like Cantwell. I really like Cantwell. I think it's probably a bit too early for him to be considered or having him in and Tillman out there. I think overall it must have been tight, but I think fashion was the smart choice today, mainly just because he's going to give us a greater chance and probability of actually putting the ball in the net, which obviously is going to be the most key thing. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I was on mute. See, Stu's going to have me for that later on. Melanie 999 super chat. Come on, Rangers. Thank you very much, Melanie. And I'm trying to see who the big fat guy is in that picture. There we go. Robert, you mentioned him. I just want to quickly go back to him. Ryan Kent, who has always terrified them. They always make a joke and a laugh about him simply because they are terrified of him. He usually steps up in these games. I don't think he's been at his sparkling best this season, but he's still been good. But he is probably one of our biggest match winners on that park today.
100%, aye, and like you're saying there, obviously he's not been at his sparkling best as you describe it, but he's still so important. Really need to tie him down. As far as I'm concerned, I'd be chucking everything at him to get him to stay, because I just think you're not going to replace that easily without spending a lot of money. And obviously we know in the transfer market there is no guarantees. You mentioned there Celtic fans are terrified of this guy. I was telling you before we came on, half my family are Celtic supporters on my mother's side, and the group chat they are terrified of this guy. They'll be very concerned about him today and getting at this new fullback as well. So just on Sakala, I think we were maybe fortunate, should I say, in the last game that was Juranovic had to come on, didn't he? And he played at left back, so maybe that sort of made Sakala look a bit more impactful on that day than what he could have been. So today he's going to be up against a left back by trade, and he'll need to be at it because I think, sort of speaking to Celtic fans, that I know Greg Taylor's having a very good season, so Fashion Sakala will need to be on.
But it is still Greg Taylor. Let's try and not forget that it is just Greg Taylor. The guy was
it's the wee guy for Kilmarnock.
The wee guy for Kilmarnock, by the way, who him and his family are massive Rangers supporters. So maybe they'll do us a wee solid today. You never know.
I can't see it, mate. After the way he spoke to Morelos during the last game, I don't think his allegiances are anywhere near a football club. So
he's just very good at hiding it. Believe me, he's a massive blue nose. The same as Scott Brown, massive blue.
We know how that worked out. No, so I just think, as you say, Ryan Kent, Stuart was going on about shooting, and I think Ryan Kent needs to do more of that, more shooting.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't want Ryan Kent to shoot ever again.
Why?
See if he's 2 yards out and it's an open goal, pass the ball. Ryan Kent's finishing is horrendous, man.
But I just think he needs to, as Stuart's saying, you need to be, none of this passing the ball to the net. You need to be having a go. And if it's there for, last week there was, I think it was Cantwell. It opened up lovely for him to sort of bend it in the top corner and he played another pass. I'm just thinking, have a bloody shot. But yeah, I know, I would be saying just to both the wide men and obviously Morelos, get ball shot at heart, because there's a ricket in him somewhere.
Kent, as he is a poor finisher. He's probably one of the worst finishers we have, but he also has a screamer in him, and he also does tend to have a decent finish from memory against that lot. I feel like for a while he was the only one who used to score our goals against Celtic. So I think, I don't know. I think he's. But you watch today now, he's going to be the one that misses the sitter. So I'm going to come on here like egg on my face, but it's I think Kent is. It wouldn't matter if he never scored another goal for us again. He'd still be that as key as he is right now, because we don't have another player like him in the team. So it's it's imperative that he turns up. But he's the one that I'm confident will turn up, because he always does. So for me, he's the least of our problems right now, Ryan Kent, in this game.
100%. One of our biggest problems, probably, Craig, and I hate to say it, is Alfredo Morelos. He has not been in great form. He's not. I find it really difficult sometimes to criticise Alfie, because then when Cholak comes in, Cholak gets no service. Alfie gets all the same service. He probably doesn't get helped that much, to be fair, Alfie, because he's expected to do so much. But we need a big performance for him today.
Yeah, I'm hoping that my my little run of whoever I slag off and criticise before the game as a worldie will carry on, because I'm hoping it will carry on with Morelos. Yeah, he needs. Like I said the other night, he's got to be thinking in his head, this could be. I'm hoping it's not. This could be my last cup final, so I need to put in a big performance. Because who knows, he may not play another one, and he needs to go out swinging, not literally, hopefully. But he needs to go out with a big performance, get a goal, and I'm hoping for a big Buffalo performance today. I've seen the picture of him before the game, and he looks pretty sharp and pretty ready in his suit. So let's hope that he plays like we know he can play, rather than what he has in the past.
And look, Robert, Brian Emerson, Morelos does a lot more than just score goals. He does. He absolutely does. But apart from in that starting lineup, Robert, you've got Sakala scores goals. Tav scores goals. Who else?
That's a good question, and I like. He's saying he does a lot more than score goals, but he's a striker. Do you want him to score goals? That's what he's in the team for. That's what he's paid the money for, and he's proven every season he's been with us, he's scored goals. Maybe not as many as we'd like against Celtic, but certainly he seems to come up with goals when we need him. So I think it's a massive day for him, really is, because you look at the bench, and Cholak's not really been sort of favoured massively by Michael Beale. I don't think he'd come on into this game and be as effective as a firing Morelos. So I'm hoping he proves us all wrong and puts a couple on the net today. But who's the centre halves for Celtic today? Do we know?
Carter Vickers and Starfield.
Is it Carter Vickers and Starfield? I've not even checked your team. I'm horrendous at this research stuff, by the way.
The Swedish boy you could probably get at. I think
100%.
I think 100%. Carter Vickers is probably their equivalent to Goldson, if I'm really honest. I think he's pretty steady, but I think the Swedish boy Michael Beale should be saying to Morelos, play on him and try and see if we can get out of him.
That is what has to be 100% the tactics. My stepson, who, as most people that watch this regularly know, is a Celtic supporter, and he tells me every day how much he dislikes Starfield. So that has to be the aim. That has to be where we
Carter doesn't step on his ankle this time.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Right, Stu. How do we go about this then? With the lineup that you've seen, how do we win this League Cup today?
We fucking smash into every single challenge. We press high. We are confident on the ball. That's big. Confident on the ball because they will press high, and you can play through that press. We've seen in Europe. Not many of us don't watch them, obviously, but you will see the goals and the highlight stuff. Every half decent European team can play through their press because it's not the best. It's just in Scotland, that's all they need to do. You play through that press. We've got the players that can hurt them up the top end of the pitch in Kent, Sakala, even Morelos, who people have mentioned does more and score. Hopefully he does get a goal, but if not, hopefully he's the guy that's drawing Carter Vickers or drawing Starfield out of position to allow our pacey players to get in behind. So stick to the plan, believe in what Michael Beale's telling them, and I've got full confidence from what we've seen so far in his time here that as long as we play to what he thinks is the best game plan for us and how he thinks they're going to line up and how he thinks we should, battle against that, then I'm fully confident we will come out on top today.
How big are set pieces, Craig?
Massive. I think somebody mentioned it in the comments there. They're not obviously Carter Vickers. He's a bit of a unit at the back, but the rest of their defence isn't massive. I think we had a bit of a run where we couldn't defend set pieces and we couldn't score from set pieces, but I think that's changed since Beale's come in, and I think we're a lot more potent. But that all comes down to Tav and Borna putting in good crosses. So we can have the best attacking players in the set piece we want, but if Borna and Tav's balls hit the first man or go out of play, then we're basically screwed. So I think if Tav and Borna can put some good balls in the right areas, then set pieces for us could actually be quite key today.
And I'm going to ask this question, Robert, right? And it's the final question I'm going to ask, and then we can all get on with shitting myself for 10 minutes before the game starts, right? And this is one of these journalistic questions that you hear on all the shows, and I hate them. I despise them, right? And I'm actually, I feel sick that I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Is the first goal important? Oh, that's a horrible question.
I'm going to say no, because I think we've been, renowned since under Michael Beale for going behind and coming back and winning matches. So no, I don't think the first goal is important. Simply, I think it's more so that we don't if we do go behind, we don't let the match get away from us. Do you know what I mean? If you go behind, you need to get right back at it like we did at Ibrox. So no, the first goal's not important here. I just think you've got to still be in the game, 70, 80 minutes. Make sure you're still in the game 70, 80 minutes, and you'll not go far wrong.
I love the optimism. I absolutely love it. Stu, the one thing I forgot to do, and we'll do it very, 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 very quickly. The bench: McLaughlin, Hadji, Jack, Cholak, Cantwell, Wright, Arfield, Raskin, and Devine. Now, we don't have time to go over the bench. The one thing I'll put to you is the only defender we have on there is Devine.
Yeah, it's a worry, especially because, we've seen it in the past, Davies and Barisic, if it's going bad, we know that he's probably going to start picking up niggles on the pitch. It's, I don't know, I think Raskin and Lundstram would probably have to cover if that come down to it. We've seen Lundstram do it before anyway. My fear is we've got quite a few players that are actually coming back from niggles or still carrying niggles, have just made it through training, and that makes up our bench and our starting 11. So it's that's going to be a big factor as well, because they're going to have, they've got pretty much fully fit firing squad and fully firing bench. So we're going to have to hope like Robert's fear doesn't come true, and everyone, not just Tillman, but everyone's hamstrings and everything else hold up today.
Right, final question, and I just want the prediction, and then I want to go because my beer has run out. So, prediction for today's game, Craig?
2-0 to the Rangers, obviously.
Robert?
2-1 after extra time.
Stu?
3-2 after extra time.
3-2 after extra time. Curry, no mention of Roof missing yet again. What's the point? Seriously, what's the point? It's no surprise. It's no shock to anybody. That will certainly be discussed, Curry, on Monday night. Right, okay, folks, that is your build-up. You have 10 minutes. Go and watch a game. Go and enjoy the game. Go and watch a convincing Rangers win. It's going to be 4-0 to Rangers, and Cav's going to get the first goal.
It'll be
And of
7-0.
course, it's going to be a penalty. Callum McGregor's going to get sent off. There's going to be conspiracies flying left, right, and centre. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. If you are in a position and you can afford it and you like the content and you want more, then consider signing up to our Patreon to help support the Rangers rabble going forward. We'll see you all shortly after the game. When Rangers win, we will be live after the trophy presentation. If the unthinkable happens, then we'll be live shortly after the game. But it's not going to happen because Rangers are going to win. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Go and enjoy the game, and let's all enjoy watching Rangers lift that trophy. See you soon.